Hello and welcome to the Business Tech Insights podcast. I'm your host, Brad Nelson, and today I am joined by Terri. Terri, would you tell everybody who you are and what you do?
Sure. My name is Terri Gerke, and I have a couple of hats. I've always worked in a situation where I have a lot of hats, but currently I'm working in the corporate health and wellness spot. So I work with medium to very large organizations and manage their wellness programs for their participants. And then I also have a coaching group for women over the age of 50 that I work with.
Very cool. And is
Yes.
there some overlap in that where the women over 50 are also working for the businesses that you help?
There is not. Oftentimes I'll do a webinar and it'll be focused on all ages. And we have one group in particular that has retirees. So a lot of people that are in that 50 plus age group. I don't promote my coaching within that, but they do have their own coaching services that they can use me. So a lot of those women are coaching with me through the wellness program, but not in my separate wellness group.
Okay. Okay. Very cool. So why should a business have a wellness program for their employees?
All businesses should have a wellness program for their employees. It does a couple of things, and oftentimes we see numbers all over the board, but it definitely builds teamwork, so it's improving that culture, improves the overall health of the participants, and I can talk about how it does that in a couple of ways as well as the productivity. So if we're talking about productivity, a happy employee is a more productive employee. And if the wellness program is done right, they're doing programs that are building that team, that culture, as I'm talking about, and sometimes just plain having fun. We have a group that we rolled out a new program yesterday. Actually, we confirmed it yesterday. We'll be rolling it out on April 15th. The irony of that. And it's a scavenger hunt. So we've updated their portal and their platform that they work on, and they'll be going and looking and finding videos that they can do and e-learning programs that they can do. And it's just a cute little scavenger hunt. So it's fun for the employees, gets them engaged. So it also helps then retain those employees because, again, they're happy employees. Many times will be something that will help recruit those employees. For the employer, I think that bringing down the medical costs is going to be substantial with a wellness program. So our program has three kind of pillars that we utilize: evaluate, educate, engage. And in that evaluate section, we take a look at, okay, what are your biometric numbers and just basic blood cholesterol, blood pressure, weight. And then also we do that health risk assessment, the questionnaire, looking at their healthy habits, including a work-life balance. And in doing that, we can identify people early in risk and mitigate their disease by encouraging programs for them. So then evaluate, then you educate them. But also in that piece, we find that people are working longer and they're getting diseases younger. So it has become a factor for companies that diabetes are showing up a lot earlier. People are taking those medications. High blood pressure definitely showing up a lot earlier. So if we can get them to recognize their risk factors in that evaluation, then we can educate them on some of the behavior changes and hopefully get them to engage in those behaviors in a way that, again, is easy and fun, because we know that if a choice is a hard choice, if it's going to have to jump through a million hoops, you're not going to do it. But if we make it easy, we make it fun, we incentivize it, chances are that they'll participate and you'll get all those benefits.
Very cool. Now, do you focus mainly on physical wellness or mental wellness or a combination of both?
Combination. So we pride ourselves in having a holistic wellness, and we work with the wellness wheel. It's part of our logo. And it absolutely starts with what's your purpose, which we call spirituality. And if the organization doesn't particularly like that term, but it really is your goals, your values, your purpose in life. So we start with that as kind of that hub, and then we look at their physical, which includes their nutrition and their exercise. We look at their emotional well-being, not mental health, because their EAP is designed for that. So we want to stay within the scope of what's appropriate for our level. But we do tie in their EAP and promote that as well, so that if somebody has a mental health issue, they're able to get help for that. Then we look at their social well-being. I'm going around my wellness circle here. We look at their social well-being, and we look at their environmental well-being as well. So that could mean everything from having a standing desk at work to having a refrigerator that, again, makes the healthy choice the easy choice. So we look at it from their business perspective and also what they're doing at home. And then we look at their financial well-being. We look at the stresses. Are they managing their money well? And are they, just effectively living on not a budget, but within their means? So those
Sure.
are the components of well-being that we look at.
Cool. Now, you also mentioned before work-life balance. Now, how do you quantify that and say whether or not somebody has a good work-life balance? Because I would think that that's going to be different depending on the person, depending on their age, depending on their profession, and whether or not they like their job even.
That's a lot of it, whether or not they like their job. And in all transparency, I think that's probably one of the areas that they're more hesitant to answer the assessment questions, because even though we tell them that it's only aggregate data that goes back to the employer, everybody's concerned about writing they frequently lose their temper at work, or they don't feel a purpose at work. So it really is, again, that assessment of looking at some of those common questions that we know are going to create a work-life balance. Are you utilizing your breaks? Are you engaging with other people within the community? Those cultural questions. Are you using your vacations, working through your lunch? Do you get angry at work? Do you get frustrated? Do you feel like you can get through everything in a day? Are you taking work home with you, either mentally or physically? And that became a tricky situation during COVID when people were working from home, and many of them have stayed home. So that becomes that tricky question as well. So, it's all relative, but if we can look at some of the hot points and we can watch those hot points move, again, getting engagement with either some of the e-learning programs that we have, or just coming in and doing some kind of a webinar, we'll do that.
Okay. And walk me through what's it like when you start with a new client of yours? And is this, do you do like a one-off thing, or is it an ongoing thing with your clients to constantly be checking their employees, or?
Oh, so still within corporate, what's a
Yeah.
so if I were working with one of the participants within the program, is that what you're asking?
Yeah. What's
Okay.
it like? Walk me through what it's like. What steps do you take overall?
For all the employees first, and then if they wanted coaching within that, because we offer the program for all the employees. And I think this is kind of a key point too, because when we talk about engagement, particularly with wellness companies, we get a lot of wellness companies that say, oh, I have 95% engagement. Well, you're never going to get 95% engagement. So what they're talking about is those people just clicked on that wellness portal and looked at it and said, not for me, and they backed right out again.
Yeah.
So that's not really engagement. But even when you have people engage, we kind of use a funnel. And again, we look at that, a lot of people are willing to do the evaluation. They're willing to do that health risk assessment, especially if they know it's not going to be, it's going to be aggregate data only that their employer is going to see. And if it gets them their biometric health screenings that they know that we can work on. So we kind of like to see a 65+% number in that. More people are willing to do that. So we would go into the entire organization, roll out the wellness platform that we have. By now, the organization, so I should back up, the organization chooses what they want to focus on. Once we launch it out to the people, we're launching it out. Most do a very basic health risk assessment and health screening. That's kind of a baseline. And then there's added pieces on from there. And some wellness companies actually stop there. So we would go in, we'd launch the platform, they'd take their health risk assessment, they'd do their health screening. It could be on site, go to their physician, go to LabCorp, or do a home test kits. Those are the options that we have for their blood draws. And again, we just do cholesterol, blood glucose, and their blood pressure, BMI, and waist measurement. So then at that point, we usually say about 35%, we'll maybe look at that educate piece. So how many times have you heard people have said, you have high blood pressure, you ought to, and people are, yeah, right, and they're gone. So we figure 35% of those people will now say, okay, teach me. And that's that whole educate where when identified or when they come to us. So if we identify somebody with a pre-disease such as diabetes, so prevalent right now, they're going to get a tick on their file that's going to send them content that will address diabetes. Or they can reach out to us and say, hey, my numbers are high. We do a results consultation with them. Your numbers are high. Would you like to participate in the program? So there you've got that. About 35% will come to a webinar, maybe do an e-learning program, and maybe even engage with looking at their physician and saying, hey, to the physician, what can I do? Or going to the carrier if they have programs that are available. Then you get to that 12% of the engage, and, change is hard. So we figure if we get a 12% change in behavior, that's really good. And let's be honest, if we get one person who doesn't go on a medication, whether it be a weight loss medication, a blood pressure medication, cholesterol, it's a win. No matter what it is, we're people oriented. So that's kind of the clinical medical side of it. And then from a fun side, we really do try to make that fun. So again, we'll come in and we'll do a webinar, roll out whatever the challenge is, whether it's a step challenge, a lifestyle challenge, and then do message boarding with the people. When we're doing one-on-one wellness coaching, which we do, and again, all of our people are degreed and certified. When we're doing that with a client, again, we start with that intake. We look at where they are, we meet them where they are, and we move them to their next steps, baby steps. Again, looking at all those components of well-being. So sometimes people will get stuck because they live with another person who's got cake in the refrigerator. So it's looking at those other things that are there. Maybe they're emotionally distraught. They have post-traumatic stress disorder, whatever it might be that's keeping them from adhering to the behavior changes that they know they need to do. We want to address those in coaching. And again, if it becomes something that's more, they would be referred out to their employee assistance program or clinical to a physician.
Yeah. And that environment piece, I think, is key. Like what you mentioned, being around people that maybe don't support your goals or your plan or anything. For example, my wife has celiacs, which is she can't eat gluten. It really messes with her. And so my children and I still eat gluten, but very minimally around her. But when we go to like extended family functions or things with friends and stuff, they're not always as considerate. And sometimes my wife, she really wants that slice of pizza or,
no
something. So that's huge. That's huge. Or like even a more extreme example, like drug addicts. They say that one of the best ways to quit whatever drugs or whatever you're addicted to is to separate yourself from it and to remove yourself from people that do those things as well.
Right. And when it's drugs or alcohol, people adhere to it a whole lot more than they would a food or a lifestyle behavior. I
Hmm.
mean, somebody's going to be more respectful and not serve alcohol over a gluten-free meal.
Right. Right. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Uh, so moving from more of the corporate stuff to the 50 and up women,
Hmm.
is that your passion? Because I guess why is that your passion to help those people?
It's my passion because I'm 68 years old.
You're
It's
68.
I'm 68.
Wow. Well, you don't look 68.
Thank you. So it's my passion because I know that as we age, our just overall health and ability to live life, I always say live life with vitality, joy, and purpose. Spirituality and faith is a heavy piece of that program. Kind of the short and the long story is my mom passed away at 62. So I have
Mm,
outlived my mom.
mm,
And she had 12 grandchildren and never saw any of them grow up, get married, live life.
mm,
That's not living life. You should be able to retire and live life with a quality of life. So if
mm,
you can catch women at 50 and really work with them to understand it's about your quality of life. It's about when you pick up, your phone and you look at your Garmin app, it says that your biological age, how you're acting is 16 years younger than your chronological age. So you can do those things. We spent 2 months in Hawaii with our granddaughter last summer, and we hiked and we swam and we did all the fun things. That's what living life is about. And so if really it's 60 plus that I tend to work with, but many of my clients are in their 50s and just being very proactive. That's when those disease states really start, when they've gone through all the changes and now they're getting that belly fat weight and they're trying, but they're just not getting it. And things do change. At 65, I was diagnosed with osteoporosis, and it surprised me because I'm an endurance athlete. I've done
mm.
Ironman, I've done triathlons, I don't even know how many marathons, and I've strength trained since I was in my 30s. So for me, it was devastating. And I thought, what about those women that have 4 or 5 diseases stacked on them? And I don't want to say one fix will fix them all, but if you get a hold of the stress and your cortisol numbers and you get a hold of your blood sugar, you're now eating enough protein because your body isn't processing it the same, and you're getting in that appropriate exercise. You can either slow down or reverse many of those chronic illnesses. So for me, it really is all about quality of life for them as they're aging. And not only do I want it for myself, but I've seen in other women that they aren't able to enjoy that part of their life that should be the most enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that makes sense. And that's awesome. That's very commendable that you're willing to go out there and help these people live a better and more full life. That's awesome. Uh,
Yeah, and quality of life includes that emotional well-being. If they're,
mhm,
now they don't have their purpose. Many now, we're hitting a generation where many have worked outside of the home, but many also stayed home and raised their children. And so
mhm,
now all of a sudden they don't have that purpose and connection that we know is so very important, that
mhm.
whole social well-being. And that's huge for them as well.
Definitely. Well, and that spirituality part too. I think that um, having faith in something that's bigger than you creates purpose in people
Mhm.
that allows them to live more full lives.
Right.
Honestly, yeah, and this is only my own personal thought and opinion, but I don't know how you can live a fulfilling life without some sort of faith in something bigger than you. But
Totally agree.
yeah, but but yeah.
That's
Anyway,
my philosophy as well.
good, good.
And so to help them to understand that too and integrate that into their habits that, sometimes I have women that, I mean, clearly they haven't been healthy since they were maybe ever or in their 30s. And I just, if they don't have something bigger and better than them, how are they ever going to have the resiliency to reverse that?
Yeah, definitely.
Habits are hard to change.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. There's uh, even little habits are hard to change.
They
Um,
are.
Now, as far as your business and the people that you help, what kind of technology do you implement to serve your customers? And you mentioned like Garmin fitness tracker and stuff. What kind of technology do you recommend that the people you work with use to help
Yeah.
keep them on track?
Okay. I'm telling you, technology has become my life. And as much as there's times when I'm like, oh, let's get rid of the technology, you can't always. So the basis starts with that wellness platform that we have. That's a pretty comprehensive platform, and it integrates Apple Health, Samsung Health, and then the many other devices, including the Aura Ring, which I know is really common right now, and the Whoop. I'm not as familiar with Whoops, but our portal does connect to those, so we can look at somebody's sleep, and if their device is tracking it, it transfers over. So we've got all that data right there. So that piece is kind of just a foundational piece, and it's also got trackers on there we don't do micronutrients necessarily, but we're going to look
Mm,
at, okay, here's a tracker for vegetables, water. So that's all on
mm,
our wellness portal. When I'm working one-on-one with a client, I use a variety of different things, and I'm probably a little bit too much of a geek. I remember at one point, a good friend of mine, so I ran a mini marathon training clinic. We're here in Louisville, Kentucky. And so at Derby time, we've not only got, Derby, but we've got all these outside events. And one of them is the Kentucky Derby mini marathon. And they start with the 5K, 10K, and then the half marathon. So
mm.
I had a training group with like over 100 people in that group, and I would have coaches that would help me with them. And one of the coaches came to me one time and said, have you ever just wanted to get rid of your Garmin so you can feel how you're training? And I'm like, no. As a matter of fact, I really like looking at my numbers. So I firmly believe in heart rate monitors. I know that there is a time that they become a detriment because you're paying so much attention that you really aren't listening to your body. So any kind of heart rate monitor training, and I'm somewhat specific to that. If I'm doing something really technical, I want a heart rate monitor strap versus just an a wristwatch that's going to
Mm.
have the camera or the optic
Right.
that's going to gain it. Mine's actually charging right now. So I want them to have that. And then I want them to also track any of their other metrics, which is going to include that sleep, and those kinds of things. If I'm working with somebody that's struggling with actual behaviors, I will have them just do a very generic tracking. And sometimes it's this simple. What do people not eat the most of?
Vegetables.
Right. And what do
Yeah.
they eat too much of?
Uh, Sugar and carbs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so this is not technology. This is about the only non-technology thing I do. You have two hands. On one of them, I want you to count up how many vegetables and fruits you've had for the day. So I had 3 for breakfast, 1 for lunch, and now I've got at least 1 more left for dinner, right?
Mm.
And then you count how many starches you have and your hand fills up quickly. Very simple, but you can get them to recognize, oh my gosh, simple. I have to just do that. So I don't do a lot of micro testing on that, but I do occasionally, if I really need to see somebody's diet, I'll use Chronometer
Mm.
food app.
Okay. I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite, and it'll go into the you get a really nice profile of their minerals. I'm also wearing a glucose monitor right now, and I do that occasionally. And I encourage people that are struggling or maybe struggling with any insulin resistance or want to see how their body is responding to different foods, different exercises. So, for instance, I only wear it maybe a couple of times a year.
Mm.
For instance, I learned last time I wore one that my strength training drops my blood glucose almost too quickly after a meal. So it's
Mm.
great to do a 10-minute walk. I was the executive director for Kentucky Diabetes Network for several years. And
Mm.
last year I spoke on just 10 minutes after each meal will help regulate your blood glucose. So I've
Mm.
tested that. I encourage my people to test that. And then I also recognize that heavy strength training for me drops me from a postprandial meal down into my 50s or 60s. Okay, not a good idea. So I learned to switch up. So I use those kind of tools with my people when appropriate. And again, if I'm working with a group of women in their 50s, they're probably struggling with some insulin resistance and some kind of blood sugar issues. So it's a very, very valuable tool. So heart rate monitors, pretty much for everybody. I can work around it, but I really like to see it because another thing with that is you may see improvements in their cardiovascular fitness because their heart rate drops so quickly. Oh, great, I'm a 150. Oh, my, I'm 110, showing that improved health heart that you're going to see before you see the scale. And it encourages them, again, to keep at it. Look at how your heart rate has improved. Look at that your resting heart rate is 52 or 60, and it was 90. Blood pressure measurements, if they have a blood pressure cuff at home. I love for people to monitor their blood pressure. So honestly, the more data we can measure, the more we can really work with what their specific issues are when I'm working very closely one-on-one with somebody.
Yeah.
Was
Oh,
that too geeky for you?
no,
I
no.
love heart rate monitors.
Because I'm a nerd and I'm a geek. So I love it. And now, have there ever been any fitness trackers or heart rate monitors or glucose meters or any of those that you found just don't work well and people should just avoid them?
Yeah, the glucose monitor I'm wearing right now is not my favorite.
Ah.
It's not a continuous glucose monitor, so I have to scan it every time I want to see my number. And again, I've tested the optic heart rate monitors compared to the strap heart rate monitors, same brand, Garmin, and the strap is much better. But we have to look again at that willingness to wear it. If somebody has to put a strap around their chest and we're only going to get data when they're working out, the 89% reliability of an optic is going to be fine. So like I said, I'm not real familiar with the Whoop, and a lot of people love that. I am with the Aura, and one thing I do like about that is people will sleep in it more likely than they will a watch. But
Sure.
yeah, I'm a Garmin fan, only because, I've worn them since before it became a thing to wear heart rate monitors.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I remember in high school, we had those straps that goes right here on your chest for the heart rate monitor. And we used to, train during PE and wear those and monitor our heart rate. And I remember them being kind of uncomfortable.
They are. So again,
Yeah.
and you're only getting the data while you're wearing it.
Right.
And what you do catch on those better is the optic. It's going to take a while for it to catch it, for your blood to get there. You get it instantly on the strap. But again, when we look at apples to oranges and we're going to get more data with the oranges, let's go that direction.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Now, tell me about your team. You have a team of people that work with you. Is that correct?
I do.
Cool.
So we do manage some corporate fitness facilities. And then I've also got wellness coaches that help with the online. So again, I require anybody who's going to do any clinical work to be degreed and certified. So American College of Sports Medicine or National Association of Sports, NASM, are the two that I'll accept with that. Basic guideline for anybody doing anything clinical or prescription wise is going to be an undergrad, preferably a master's degree. And in addition to that, then I have group fitness instructors, which are just those typically people who are passionate and have gotten certifications in their area and love it. So we've got 10 people that teach group fitness classes for us, everything from bar to spin to boot camp, Pilates, a variety of different things. And those typically are, like I said, just people that have become certified and passionate. And then we do have a clinical nurse that works for us and also a certified wellness coach. So we try to utilize her. She's very functional. and really appreciated having her. And then we have a woman who specializes in financial well-being as well, has
Hmm.
done the Dave Ramsey certification, and she coaches along those lines. So I really try to get that specialty in there. And if I can do that, that's fabulous. If not, I'm going to mentor them to the best of my ability with my expertise and credentials and lots of years of experience.
Yeah. Now, with the financial piece of it, do you find that a lot of people are overly stressed about their finances or are unsure how to manage their own finances, which then adds stress? Or
Yeah, definitely. And we do have one of our e-learning programs is also Save Up.
Hmm.
And, so many people are doing the opposite now, where credit cards are so very easy. They're coming out of college with debt if they're even going to college, and
Hmm.
they're living above their means, and things are so much more expensive, and it is stressful. Learning to manage it is helpful, but it's not going to cure all of the financial needs that we have right now. So I think it is a huge stressor in our society. Um, yeah. All you need
Yeah.
to do is go live in Hawaii for 2 months and you'll recognize you have no problems living on the mainland, but
Yeah, I've heard it's kind of expensive over there.
it's a bit pricey.
Yeah. Have you heard of burrito loans?
No.
So it's this new term that is floating around called burrito loans with those um those payment providers like Klarna and Affirm and stuff where have you seen that? You can go on Amazon and you can,
I've
let's
seen
say
the
there's a
Klarna.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So it'll be like a book for $20 or you can pay it in 4 installments of $5. And
that's ridiculous.
I agree. I agree. But a lot of people are using them and they call them burrito loans because you can go to like Chipotle and use Klarna to pay for your burrito at Chipotle. And and people do it. I don't
Mhm.
I don't know why, but I heard, and I don't remember the statistic exactly, but I heard that there's um, a certain amount of people that are mostly younger people. I think like Gen Z and younger. They've fallen into this trap of, oh yeah, okay, I'll buy the burrito on payments, and oh, it's just $5 every month for 4 months till it's paid off or whatever. But then they rack up all these charges, and pretty soon they've got payments for every little tiny thing that come out at random times of the month, and they're unable to track it, and they're unable to balance their checkbook because of it. And I'm not sure young people know how to balance a checkbook anyway, but you know, and it's caused a kind of new sort of debt financial crisis for younger people.
I'm
And
sure.
it's terrible, but it's also fascinating at the same time why somebody would finance a
The whole
burrito.
mindset. I bet, I don't know, but I bet that they just don't even think about it as financing. They just look at it as another way to purchase.
Yeah,
And, I'll just pay for it as, it's no different than a credit card. And it is because you're automatically, racking up interest and it's a payment.
yeah,
But we live in such a I want it now society with
yeah,
everything that's really scary for our young people.
yeah. It is. Well, and I wonder. I think it goes into that finance education, like some of the stuff that you've talked about. Is I don't know. I grew up with the whole idea of if you can't afford it right now, then you don't buy it right now. So if I don't have enough money in my bank account to buy that Chipotle burrito, I'm going to go home and eat beans and rice until I have enough money to go buy the burrito, you know?
Right.
But I but you're right, when we live in a time where everybody wants it now, they want that thing. And maybe these burrito loans are, oh well, it's just $5 right now, instead of $20 or whatever. Um
Right.
but it's
That's
dangerous.
amazing to me. I mean, I have seen them, and there have been times when it's gone through my mind, why would you do that? And I imagine if you've maxed out your credit card and you want a burrito, yes, you would do it. But it is scary. And, raising my kids, we started them on a debit card allowance when they were 16.
Mm,
And I suspect that the proportion of parents that are doing anything along those terms right now is incredibly minimal.
mm,
And
mm.
that's really sad, because we do live in a society of borrow, 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 even for cars. The fact that you can take out a 10-plus-year loan on a car that's not going to be worth what you still owe on it is really scary.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. I've had many cars, but I've only ever had a payment on one.
Good
And
for you.
yeah, well, um, actually, funny story. So I didn't have any sort of credit or credit history or anything until I was 28 years old.
Wow.
And I had purchased a house with cash, and I wanted to refinance the house to then buy another house. And
Wow.
uh, y-
Congratulations.
thank you. Um, and I went to my buddy who was a mortgage lender, and I said, "Hey, like I want to do this thing." And he's like, "Okay, well, you own the house. That's great. And you make decent money. So we should be able to get you a loan as long as you got good credit." And I told him, I said, "Well, that's the problem. I have no credit." And so he's like, "Well, you need to get some credit." So I went and I financed a pickup truck, and I got a credit card. And until I got, you know, a credit score. And then I sold the pickup truck and I bought a different one outright. But it's, yeah, but having that vehicle payment, it was, I don't know, it was awful. Every single month I had to pay on that truck. I was like, why do people do this? Because like
Mm-hmm.
you said, when I went to sell it, I had it for 2 years. And when I went to sell it, it was worth half what I had financed it for. And thankfully I had made, bigger payments on it. And so I was able to sell it for more than I owed on it. But it was literally half of what
Yeah.
I financed it for. It's insane.
Yeah. And most of the commercials are, we don't care as long as you make X amount per week, we don't
Yeah.
care how much you even owe on it, bring your trade-in in. And I'm like, what a bad, again, it becomes that whole mindset. And I think mindset is so important, whether it be for what we're eating, what we're doing. We've got to have that mindset, not an entitlement, but a good use of everything. Whether it's the food we're putting in, that's a bank account. You start
Yeah.
with 1,800 and you put it in, you spend too much, and guess what's going to happen? Same thing with our finances. And it creates stress and emotional dissonance, and it's just so very unhealthy. So very unhealthy. You should be proud of yourself. That's a pretty cool story.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I still wish I had no credit. But unfortunately, because of the things I wanted to do in life and business and the system we live in, I had to have credit. So,
Yeah, no
yeah,
doubt.
yeah,
No doubt.
uh,
So yeah, that is the kind of thing we deal with in the Save Up,
yeah,
in the e-learning, and we even have a little challenge that goes with it, that the whole company can do a challenge. And if we can, we're going to tie it to their financial piece of the 401k and bring in as many speakers and things as we can, because again, people need to be hit how many times, I mean, before they really get the message.
yeah. Now, I mean, you mentioned the challenges and you mentioned you were doing like a scavenger hunt. What other challenges do you like to do?
Yeah, we have a lot of fun ones. So, let's see, what's my favorite one? I mean, step challenges are kind of, they're just move. And
Yeah.
the people that are gonna move always win, and the other people get frustrated. So I'm not a huge lover of step challenges for that very reason. I do love when you've got to beat the boss step challenge, though. I think those are fun. And it's just the employee against the boss, period, nobody else. We have one that's called No Time Like the Present. And it's got little things in it like put your cell phone away. At dinner time, everybody puts their phones in a basket. And I love those kind of challenges. The New York Minute, where, again, that's a stress management challenge that you're going to focus on just taking downtime, taking a break, taking a 10-minute walk, any of those things that are going to bring us into a mindfulness state. I really
Mm.
like those.
Mhm.
Not a huge fan of weight loss challenges again, although most of my organizations do a maintain, don't gain through the holidays and into January. They're good because they hold people accountable. But, I'd rather teach from a positive aspect of let's add something in. Let's add in healthy foods. Um, Let's see, what are some of my other favorite ones that I absolutely love? I love a good snooze or lose challenge where you
What's
just
that?
simply, yeah, so getting good sleep. And so many
Okay.
people struggle with sleep. And some of the behaviors that you're going to track are, you get off your phone, you get off any screens 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed. You quit eating 2 to 3 hours before you go to bed. You journal to do that kind of dump load onto paper so that you're going to sleep more restfully. And then you monitor your sugar, of course, that you're going to eat during the day, which is going to disrupt your sleep. So I really like that one because I think people might know some of those things, but they don't necessarily practice them unless they have to do it, check the box. And we try to keep those at like a 2-week, just because to manually have to go in and check boxes and track gets kind of tedious. And it's more, let's bring awareness, and they'll find one thing that they can carry forward and work on that then. I do love vegetable challenges. So we have a cancer challenge, cancer prevention, that encourages people to eat different colors of vegetables, and they
Hmm.
like fill their plate with the different colors throughout the day. I like that one because I think it brings the awareness of the different colors in the foods relate to specific cancers,
Hmm.
for reduction of that. So I like that one. Yeah, I think those are my favorites.
That's
You
pretty
caught me
cool.
off guard. I didn't have my list in front of me.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. No, that's cool. Now with your scavenger hunt challenge, I'm a little bit more curious about that one in particular because it sounds really fun.
Yeah.
What all does it entail? Is it actually people like getting out and going and finding things, or going online and finding things? What's it
Yeah.
like?
It's finding out what resources are available on the wellness portal. So
Mm.
again, we're rolling out a new template to their portal, so it's going to look different. They've had the program for, I think, 5 years now. I think they're a 5-year client, but things are more accessible, and we want them to learn the portal and learn what resources they have available. So we have 9 items that they need to find on the portal, and my person that does our communication piece was really creative in the little clues that she wrote. And so they have to find their health risk assessment, their health screening, preventive. So those 3 very preventive things. We have videos on there that are workout videos. So they have to go
Mm.
find a workout video. And because April is stress prevention month, we're making them do the chair yoga one in particular. So they have to find a specific chair yoga. They can sign up with a buddy. So you can do a buddy system on the portal where you invite a buddy to track with you, communicate with you right on the message boards. Connect their devices, including their sleep.
Mm.
So again, if they have a sleep tracker, we want them to connect that. That was probably about 7. I wonder what I'm missing. Let's see. How many do you think I got there? Like I said,
Oh.
we just did the paperwork on this yesterday. Health risk, 3 in the preventive. Oh, read an article in the library.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Buddy, e-learning program, video, device. I think, yeah,
Yeah,
I've got
okay.
8. That's pretty good.
And speaking of reading, so you mentioned writing in your journal is good.
Yeah, I love that.
What about reading?
Yeah. For me personally, or what we encourage people.
Both.
Yeah, um I'm not a great reader. I'm a great audio listener. And I think that's impacted all of our ability to really be able to focus. But I do love listening to podcasts and listening to uh, different learning sessions and e-learning books, and I love all that kind of stuff. So I'm a pretty big reader, but it's more a listening reader. Even my journal right now is using my iPad pen.
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
But I think there's so much value to pulling out paper and journaling that I try to do in the afternoon, an afternoon gratitude journal on paper, because I think there's so much value to that. So, but I don't mind the electronic journals because, again, whatever's easiest will do.
Yeah. Well, and with your iPad and your smart pen, you are still actually writing. You're
You
not
are. So there's that
typing.
mind to brain.
Yeah.
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 Though, it's interesting when I was doing my doctoral exit exam, we had to write 3 papers in 5 days. And they had to be, research papers, blah, blah, blah. And one of the best tips somebody gave me was, in the morning before you get started, you take whatever question you're going to work on that day, go sit someplace quiet. So for me, that's my outside patio in the morning. Take colored pencils and just map it out. And
Hmm.
what a valuable tool, because it took that brain to paper, that color, that creative, that, kind of that dump load again. And it was such a great tip that I think about that often when I get in a really bad space of my brain is just running 100 miles a minute. I've got a coloring book and I'll pull that out and I'll just color.
Yeah. I have small children, so I have coloring books all over the place. Maybe I'll
I
steal
love
one of
them.
them and try it.
Yeah, I love when, and if you can bring in other pieces of it that are going to work on that emotional well-being and that thought of what's your purpose and whatever. So my current coloring book is just kind of my life that I'm documenting out. And it's got questions of growing up, what were your favorite things? And you color a picture and then you write out
Ah,
the different things. And I'm really enjoying that. I'm about 4 years into it, maybe.
that's really cool. It's like an adult coloring book journal thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I might have to look and see about getting one of those.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. If it was close enough, I would grab it, but I don't think it is.
Ah, well, that's okay. Well, we're running close on time anyway. What's one last kind of chunk of knowledge or thing you want to leave with our audience?
Yeah. For me, it really is that faith and that mindfulness about what are we doing in life and why are we doing it, and steward the best you can, whether it's your money, your health, your relationships, your relationship with something greater than what we are. I think that is such a key and connection to other people. So being right with ourselves, other people, and something greater than us is, I think, one of the keys to health, and using technology appropriately. We can't get away
Oh
from
yeah.
technology, so let's use it appropriately.
Yeah, definitely. Oh man, I wish we had more time because I could talk for hours about that in particular. But so where can people find you and where can people find balanced wellness?
Yeah, Balanced Wellness KY, which stands for Kentucky.com. So balanced with a D, balancedwellnessky.com is my website. And then I've got a presence on Facebook, and my women's group is Walking with Wisdom, Journey to Health and Purpose for women over 50.
Very cool. Very cool. And my last question, do you know any other business owners that would like to be on a podcast with a scruffy looking guy like me?
I will give some thought to it.
Okay.
So, probably innovative kind of people, right? That would also love technology. And do you go outside of the health and wellness field as well?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I basically talk.
Cybersecurity,
Oh,
those
yeah.
kinds of things.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about, we've got a master's level intern right now,
Hmm?
and it's really interesting. She wants to work for us, and she's welcome to, but she'll have to gain her own accounts because we're managing very well right now in building. But anyway, there's a company here in town that works with diabetes and also fitness. Um, And I think she's thinking about going there. They do DEXA scans for fitness.
Those are really cool.
Yes. So
Yeah.
they do that. They do VO2 max. They do resting metabolic rate. And then on the diabetes side of it, they're doing a lot of cool and innovative things there too. So our intern is kind of going to stay within, hopefully, if she goes and works with them. And it's not a full-time. In fitness, you do so many little gigs. And one of our instructors is doing the DEXA scans there. So I think that might be a really great business for that. I would like to say my daughter, but I don't know that she would be interested. She is a massage therapist and just a really phenomenal young woman, and her husband is into technology and gaming and websites and all that. I'll give some thought to that, Brad. I'll try and really think about people that might be a really good fit for it.
Yeah. I'm just trying to have as many cool conversations as I can.
Yeah, where do you post most of them? I mean, I don't remember how I found the link. I guess I maybe searched you.
Oh, well, that's a perfect segue to my outro. I just want to say thanks for coming on, and thank you everybody for listening. And you can find this podcast on YouTube and Spotify, and we'll see you in the next one.